All right. Hey everyone, I'm going to start this recording again because I recorded the first couple of questions and then realized that I had no audio. So I'm going to start again. The first couple of questions I've already done, but I will explain my way through them as we go anyway. Let's get stuck in. So question number one. So this is the 2021 software exam, I should say. So we're looking at a data dictionary that's incomplete with the data types missing. The first data type is true-false. The next one is the number 99. So I should be able to rule out B and D straight away because true-false is a Boolean. That's not a character. If it was TF, you could make an argument that it could be a character. But true-false is how Boolean works. So that has to be the first one. So it's either A or C. Now I've chosen A, as you can see, because this is an integer, a whole number here. That doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be integer. It could still be a floating point, but the fact that it's the number of times a door is accessed means it's counting up in whole numbers. So you will never need a floating point for that. So A is the correct answer for that one. It's also not a string because there is maths being done to it. Each time you open the door, it will add one on. So that's that. Question 2, we're looking at an associative array. It says, which of the following best describes? An associative array always has integer indexes. Now remember that an associative array, you define the key for a value. So I could do a markbook is the example I usually use, where I use your name as the index and your score on the test comes back as the value. So that in that situation, it would not be an integer index. So A is incorrect. B, they're always ordered. That's also incorrect. They're not really ordered at all, in fact, because you are assigning the keys yourself. Number 3, that they're a key value pair, which is the correct answer. That's how associative arrays work. Lastly, it says are used when several different data types need to be stored together as a field. That's a record that it's describing there, not an associative array. Third one, it took me a little bit of time to figure this one out. And I think I've got it right. I'm not going to say 100% sure that I have. It says a functional requirement for a software solution that collects contact details of data who dine at a restaurant could be. So a functional requirement means that this application does not do what you want it to do if it doesn't do this thing. Okay. So I chose save data to a file. I'll come back and explain why. The next one is that the solution can be used on multiple devices. Sounds good, but that's a non-functional requirement because the program is still working even if it's only working on one system. That the solution can fail to take an order no more than once a month. That sounded kind of like a system objective to me, but I was tossing up between A and C. So that one I was kind of like, okay, maybe. And then the last one, that the restaurant's customers should be able to easily enter their details. That is non-functional. So it's either A or C. Looking at C, I thought that like I said, it sounded a bit more like an objective, and also thought if it didn't do this, does the program still work? And yeah, it does. So if it fails twice a month, I would say the program is still considered to be successful. I wouldn't say it's of the highest quality, but it needs to save customer data to a file because that's what it actually specifies, that it collects contact details. So that's why I chose A, because if it doesn't do that, it doesn't meet that specification. And I got up to question 4, and then I realized that my sound wasn't working. So which of the following would be considered an information system goal? Now remember that we're talking about an information system specifically, not an organization, but a goal is usually sort of like a non-specific sort of thing that you would like to achieve. It's not like an objective gives you a numerical value. It's specific and measurable, but a goal is a bit more, I don't want to say waffly, but it's a bit more, how would you say? It's a bit more open, let's say, all right? I'm just going to quickly, my emails are popping up. I'm just going to quickly minimize that. So in this case, looking here, it says to decrease the time taken to create a resupply orders by 50%. Now that's specific and measurable, so that sounds like an objective. To identify 3 low selling objects to highlight for sales each month. maybe doesn't sound like the goal of the whole system or of a whole system, but anyway, maybe to improve communication with customers by cutting the time taken to reply within 24 hours. Okay. And then lastly, to manage the accounts of suppliers more efficiently by using a digital warehouse system. I'm going to go with D because the other ones sort of have specific measurable numbers. B could be the answer, but I think I'm leaning towards D. The best sequence of tests when validating data is, it's a good one. So you always want to check that the data, so these are the way that you go and validate, right? And the way that you check data, like let's say that this is a form that I want entered and it's a required field, right? I don't know, let's say it's like credit card number or something like that. It's a required field. The first thing that I do, or the thing that makes the most sense, is that I want to first check, have they entered anything? Anyway, I'm not going to write the whole thing out. Have they entered anything or not? Then, is it digits only? Right? And then lastly, is it in the required, range of possible numbers? All right. So that's existence, then type, then range. So existence first. Have they put anything in? Is it numbers, and is it a possible credit card number, for example? So D would be the correct answer in that case. Sorry. Characteristic of an efficient software solution includes, so remember, effectiveness is how well it does its job. Efficiency is how quick it does its job. So the usability of a solution, that's effectiveness. The speed of processing, that's efficiency. So I'm just going to circle that one. Accuracy of your calculation is effectiveness. Readability of the screen layout is effectiveness. That's done. So that's definitely right. Question 7. To assess the effectiveness of a project plan, one could assess the project plan. So this is how well it's done its job. All right. So you could assess the project plan against the project's scope and timeline by applying relevant usability testing strategies, by applying relevant software auditing testing strategies against the evaluation criteria developed in the design stage. That's an interesting one. Effectiveness is how well does it do its job. I'm sort of leaning towards A, but I'm not 100% sure. I think A is probably the correct one. And my phone was just going off as well. Effectiveness, how well, and a project plan's job is to lay out every single task. So I'm gonna go A. I don't think it's B, because it's got nothing to do with usability testing. I don't think it's C for the same reason. It's got nothing really to do with that. It's about how well you've correctly predicted the time that things will take. So I think the last one would determine the effectiveness of a solution, but not a project plan. So I'm going to go with A. Question 8. Lenny connects to the internet via public unsecured wireless network to shop online. He creates a new account in the store, makes a purchase with his new credit cards and have been used. Later that day, he discovers unauthorized transactions. What has happened to Lenny may be an example of. I like that social engineering is a possible answer on here, because in a way it is, that people need to learn to, be smarter with what they're doing. However, I'm looking at this. I don't think it's a data breach. Data breach is more like if you accidentally release people's details, like if you accidentally release details, which you didn't do. Social engineering usually in this context tends to be like somebody's like, oh, I forgot my key, can you let me in? Cross-site scripting is an attack from a malicious website, which, it could be, but the fact that we're talking about unsecured wireless makes me think that it's not that. man in the middle attack sounds more likely. It's where somebody sets up basically a fake shop on the same unsecured Wi-Fi and pretends to be the shop that you're looking for, pretends to be eBay or whatever, and then you just have directly paid them. That's why I said that social engineering is also kind of right. But I would say that D is probably the most correct answer, which I also hate saying that. But all right. Kiara is developing a software solution and would like to communicate to her colleagues that data will go in and out of the system. The data that will go in and out of the system. Which of the following types of diagrams would be most appropriate? So it's the data going in and out of a system. I think that context is probably the more accurate one. It's definitely not network. It's definitely not use case. Now, I would say that context is better for showing the in and out of a system, because remember that's the circle one with the external entities only. Data flow shows how the data travels inside the system. So I'm going to go with A. Hopefully that question's not even in shot. Sorry. My fault. I'll leave that there for a second. Yeah. I'm going to get a bit more height on this, maybe. Try and fit in the whole exam. All right, let's keep keeping on. All right, question 10. So question 10, is that in shot? Yes, good. Francesca's integrating voice commands into an existing application. Which of the following is not? Sorry, which of the following is not an affordance consideration? Including a list of voice commands, providing appropriate oral signifiers to confirm perceived functionality, providing appropriate visual signifiers to indicate the presence of voice control, offsetting development costs elsewhere to ensure the application remains affordable. So I think that this is not. Okay, I was going to say there are a couple here that I thought might have been. I was going to say it's either A, B, or C, but it's asking which one of them is not a consideration. So when you talk about affordance, it's like the way that the system responds to the user is probably a good way to put it. So having a list of voice commands is good affordance, because then the user knows what they can say. The oral signifier is good to confirm that it's working, and the visual one is good as well. So think like when you're talking to like Alexa or Google, you know a list of commands that you can use quite regularly. There's usually like a blip blip that tells you that you can start talking. And there's also usually like a visual cue, like the top of the Alexa device lights up, or you get the little thing pop up on your phone or whatever. So I think that this is trying to catch people out with the misunderstanding of what the phrase affordance means. It doesn't have anything to do with cost. So D is the correct answer in that it's not an affordance solution, I guess. All right. When developing criteria for evaluating efficiency and effectiveness of a software solution, the most important consideration is that the software solution is new and innovative. No, it's not that. Programs will be tested to ensure that they are free of bugs. No, not really. The requirements and the constraints documented in the SRS will be met. That's a good one. Programs will be tested to ensure they run appropriately with appropriate time efficiency. That sounds like they've just made that up to fill up the numbers here. So I'm going to go with C, because if you're looking at efficiency and effectiveness, it's like how well does it do its job and how smoothly does it run. It doesn't really have anything to do with testing. So I would say that C is the most correct, and then maybe B after that. D talks about just efficiency only. And the software solution is new and innovative. It doesn't have to be new and innovative to be developed. So, all right. The designers of a new banking app believe clients should not only enter their client number and password, but also a verification code, and then scan one of their fingerprints to sign in. This security measure is best described as general authentication, two-factor authentication, multi-factor authentication, single-factor authentication. Originally, I would have said two-factor because it's the verification code, but having the fingerprint scan as well is overkill. I think that's technically multi-factor because that's 3, right? I haven't just got that wrong. So the client number and password is the single factor. Getting a verification code sent to your phone is two-factor authentication, right? And we know that. But the scanning of the fingerprint is the third factor. So I didn't even know that that's what it was called, but I'm just going to go multi-factor because it's 3. If they had 3-factor authentication, I would probably pick that. But multi-factor, I guess, makes more sense than 2 because it's more than that. It's more than 2. Okay, Sergey wants to transfer his completed video project from his desktop to his laptop. The file size is 4 gig. What is the time difference between Sergey copying his file on a cable of 4 gigabits per second over his Wi-Fi network that is 3.5 gigabits per second? Okay, well, so there are 8 bits in a byte, so 4 gigabytes times 8 will give me that in gigabits, which is 32. So 32 going at 5 gigabits per second will take 6.4 seconds, I think. Have I done that right? 30, and yeah, 6.4. And then 32 divided by 3.5 is going to be, I'm going to have to get my calculator up for that one because I can't. So this is why you bring a scientific calculator in, just in case they throw out something like this. I could roughly estimate that it's just under 10. It's probably like 9.6 or something, but yeah, I honestly couldn't tell you. 32 divided by 3.5. So I've just typed that into my calculator here. I was a bit off. It's 9.1 or 9.14, but 9.1. So cable is roughly 3 seconds faster. Yeah, is probably, so because that's cable, that's Wi-Fi. I reckon I might have been able to figure that out without even looking at the questions here. Like 6, this one was definitely wrong. That one was definitely wrong. It had to be either A or D, and D's like really out there. So yeah, I probably didn't have to do all that, but yeah, A would be the correct answer. Characteristics of data that has integrity include authenticity, clarity, and relevance. I don't know clarity. I don't remember there being clarity in there. Accuracy, clarity, and completeness. Accuracy, relevance, and readability. I don't think that's one either. Accuracy, reasonableness, and relevance. Yeah, that's the one that I would go. And that was probably out of shot as well. Sorry, I got my calculator up on screen. Oh no, it's sort of in shot. Okay. Let's go across to question 15. The actual data sets are not used to test software. Data sets are manufactured to test software. Okay. If manufactured data set was accidentally stored with an actual data set, what characteristic of data integrity would be most undermined by this mix-up? Well, if it's test software, reasonableness, it would be considered reasonable, otherwise it wouldn't be very good test data. Value, I don't think is one. Timeliness has to do with speed, so I'm going to go authenticity and sort of hope that that's not hope. I'm like 99% confident that that's correct. Which of the following best represents an ethical but not legal issue that may arise? Okay. Using customer data for personal financial gain, like selling it, that's not good. Incorporating addictive design elements into a children's online learning platform. I feel like that's the ethical one there. Let's keep going. Collective sensitive data during a survey without the participant knowing what the data will be used for. That's a violation of data and the Data and Information and also the Privacy Act, I would say. Using code from a similar piece of software, well, that's copyright. So it's definitely not those here. It's definitely not A. It's got to be B. Right? Because A, you're just straight up selling it. All right, trace table for a selection sort. Cool. Which of the following is the first error in the trace table? A, min is set to 0 in step 3. What sort is this? Selection sort. Okay. So I'm just thinking for a second. Selection sort is the one where we start with the lowest value, keep going till we find a higher one, that becomes the higher one, and keep going, I think. Okay. So the A array only has 4 and 5 in it, and the number's equal to 2. So for I is equal to 0 to n minus 2. Okay. To n minus 2, do this. So that's set to 0. The first value is 4. The min is then set to I. I think the min is supposed to be set to 4, isn't it? I would think so. It might be A. So AJ is not set to A min in step 5. Well, it's not the min, so it wouldn't be B. Min is set to the value of J in step 6. If J is less than min, do this. No, that's fine. AI and A min are swapped. I think that's fine. I think it's A. That's probably the error in the trace table. Though I'm not like super confident, to be honest with you. Okay. Min. Okay. Does min refer to the... I wonder if min refers to the index of the smallest value. Because then it's A min, right? Yeah, okay. So we're talking about... Okay, I've definitely stuffed this up because A min is supposed to be the lowest value, which is say 4, and min is the reference, which is supposed to be 0. So that one's right. Oh geez, this one's a tough one. All right. AJ is not set to A min in step 5. So what's step 5? If AJ is less than A min, do this. So AJ being the next one, which is 5. If 5 is less than 4, do this. And then make the min 5. So I think they've done that correctly. So I don't think it's that one. Far out. All right, C, the min is set to the value of J in step 6. Do they actually do that? Oh, they do. Okay, I think that's the error then. So, sorry if that was really confusing. I didn't really explain that very well. I'm going to make sure this is completely in shot as well. So, I think one of the things that stuffed me up is I was looking for a mistake in this. I was supposed to be looking for a mistake in the table. So they did that correctly. They set the min to be 0 because the min's the index. That's fine, and J is the index of the next one. So it's saying that, you know, if 5 is less than 4, right? So if the next value is less than the previous one, then we do this, and they did that, which is not true because 5 is not less than 4, so 5 shouldn't be the new minimum. Because now the problem is that they've set the new, yeah, so I think it's C. AI and A-min are swapped in section, what's AI? I don't even know what that is. Swap AI and A-min. Okay, it could be there. I don't know. I'm gonna go with C. I wasted too much time on this question as it is, and I don't really want to muck around with it. Which, I mean, sometimes I guess you just gotta cut your losses and move on. Maybe like put an asterisk and come back to it at the end. Oh goody, we got a selection sort. Just to be annoying. How many swaps will a selection sort carry out on the array above? Depends what we're looking for. Well, selection sort, we sort them one at a time, right? So we would go, okay, 5's the current lowest, right? And we swap them. So so if the value is character to number in alphabet text, but okay. So if the value is less than 0, then we add. Oh, this is something else. Okay, I was wondering why that was so all over the place. Okay, so I'm trying to remember selection sort. I think you find the smallest number through the first iteration and then swap them. So I think in swap 1 it becomes 0, 6, 2, 11, 3, 5, 8, and then the next one, and we swap these two, so it becomes 0, 2, 6, 11, 8, 5, 8. Oh, that's supposed to be 3, not 8. Sorry. And then the next lowest is 3. So we go 0, 2, 3, 11, 6, 5, 8. 0, 2, 3, 5, 6, 11, 8. The 6 is the lowest, so there's no swap there. And then the last two swaps, that's 0, 2, 3, 5, 6, 8, 11. So how many swaps is that? That was... so we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. How many swaps will it carry out on the array above? Have I done that right? So 0 and 5 swap, that's 1. 2 and 6 swaps, that's 2. Then 6 and 3 swaps, that's 3. 5 and 11 swaps, that's 4. And then 11 and 8 swaps, that's 5. Okay, I miscounted. That one shouldn't be as tricky as what it is. All right, so we got some code here called encrypt. And this, the first question is saying the algorithm named encrypt is an example of. And it's got start, read, a for loop with an if statement, and then it's got a return here. Now that is the indicator for me that is most likely a function. And the other thing that, like, yeah, well, I mean, it has to be a function because remember, a function returns a value. There is a loop in there as well, but it's not the whole. It's not the whole. I'm trying to say it's not the whole thing. So there's a loop in here, but it's not entirely a loop. Questions over here, by the way. I'll try and get this like both in shot so you can sort of see both at the same time. Is that okay there? Yeah, that's sort of all right there. So it says that the algorithm encrypt is an example of, and then it's got that. So the fact that it returns a value indicates to me that it's a function. It's not a loop because this bit is a loop, but not encrypt. So not the whole thing. It's not a class because a class usually set up and you have a whole bunch of like parameters like attached to that, almost like a record. Function is good, and instruction is just like a single line of code, so it has to be C. Right? Can't be anything else. If Ali was encrypted by the set of algorithms, what text would be returned? Ali. Okay. Let's have a look. So the value becomes the character number value in text minus 2. Okay. If the value is less than 0, you add 26, otherwise not. So it seems like it's shifting the letters back to. So like A is going back to Z and then to Y, which seems to tell me that that's the answer already. But let's have a look here. L goes back to K, which goes back to J. Same with that. E goes back to D, which goes back to C. Y goes back to X, which goes back to W. Is that it? Seems awfully easy. Sure. Okay. All right. Well, that was easier than I thought it would be. So the key to this is just the -2, really. So this is what's called a Caesar cipher. It's an old school way of encryption. It's not very realistic, but you know it's better than nothing, I guess. So, all right, I'm gonna see how I go with some of these. Answer as much as I can. I'll try and keep the video relatively short though. Let's hope I feel pretty confident about the multiple choice. There was only one or two I was unsure about. So, yeah, I reckon I'm traveling okay so far. All right. 2 purposes of internal documentation. Explain how naming convention would be useful. Okay. So, internal documentation, how it can be to keep track of variables. Variables with meaningful names. And how it would be useful naming a variable with Hungarian notation. Would allow the coder to easily recall its purpose. So remember why. So when I say recall its purpose, why did they make the variable and its data type? It's probably a bit more. So that'd be a good one. And then it would be to allow other coders to modify in future. All right. And that would be documenting via comments would allow another coder to be able to easily understand and alter code. All right. I haven't handwritten in a while, so I'm getting hand cramp already. I've only just started. All right. Haru is preparing software requirement specification for public transport ticketing system. Classify each of the following constraints as economic, legal, social, technical, or relating to usability. Existing tickets will need to work with the new system. The new system will process payments in Australian dollars. Location tracking data must be de-identified. That one would be legal, I believe. New system processed in Australian dollars. When we talk about an economic constraint, it's about expenditure more so than... It's more about expenditure than currency. And I feel like that's something they've put in there to trick people into going economic. I have to have a think about that one. Existing systems will need to... I reckon that's technical. I'm going to go usability for that one. I could be completely wrong. It could be economic. I'm not really confident with any of those three, to be honest with you. So, yeah, take that with a pinch of salt, but we'll see how we go. Victorian company that provides cloud storage services to manufacturers of wearable medical devices has been approached by a university. They would like to access stored data for research purposes. What are the legal consequences for a company providing its stored data to the university? Yep. Okay. I would say that, so there's 3 marks here they would want to refer to both of these. I'd say the company could become liable under the Privacy and Health Record Acts because they are using data outside of its what am I trying to say here? I'm trying to say, like, when you collected it, you had to tell them what it was being used for, and that's no longer true if you're changing the initial, like, deal. Outside of its agreed purpose. Outside of its agreed purpose, and due to the data being medical, the data containing medical information the Health Record Act applies to Victorian companies only, which they are. Which to be honest, I'm not really sure what else to write other than that. It's 3 mark question, so I tried to mention that going outside of the original data that they collected is a violation of the Privacy Act. The fact that the medical records being shared are medical and it's a Victorian company means that they're liable under health records, and that the penalty is usually fines. Look, I probably didn't do so well on that one, but that's, I would have got at least a mark, hopefully. All right. New exploratory robot, Relentless, has been designed to drill to the soil of the planet Mars and collect soil samples, send relevant data back to Earth. The robot has many constraints placed on its design to make it fit for the mission, having only limited battery size, computing resources and data storage. The section of the data flow diagram below shows part of the design of the robot system. It represents the flow of data that originates as records based on the analysis of soil samples. Processes are then used to give a rank of importance to each sample. The soil sample records are then sorted by their importance, and the transmission process begins and takes the sorted data and breaks it into packets that are ready to be sent. Far out. Okay. This is the data flow diagram. So soil sample data records, rank sample data, ranked soil sample data records, soil sample data records, prepare data packets. Identify one mistake in the section of data flow diagram and suggest appropriate fix. I think I would say that they rank their sample data, which then goes to sorting the sample data, and then it goes to prepared data packets. I'm not really sure what they're going for here, but I would be looking at there's no data store anywhere here. I'm not sure. I'm not even sure if that's right, to be honest with you, but we can give that a go. Yeah, I would say the one mistake could be that. I don't like to have processes linked to each other directly, personally, but I would say that the DFD is missing a data storage, because I'm just reading back through here that everyone constraints make a fit, having only limited battery size, computing resources, and data storage capacity. It represents the flow of data originates system analysis. If you rank each soil data sorted by the importance and a transmission profile. So I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't even know about that one, to be honest, because it seems like that they don't. It seems like from what they're describing, they don't really store anything at all. But I'm just gonna go with that anyway, because that's all I can really think of. Data storage for both sorted and unsorted data. Yeah, I got no idea. Would a quick sort or selection sort be more appropriate for sorting the sort sample data process? It's a good question. So it doesn't give me much information in terms of the actual data set itself, just that they get ranked, which it also doesn't have great computing power, so I think maybe selection sort. I'm not sure if this is one of those ones where you can I'm not sure if it's one of the ones where you can go with either as long as you justify it okay. Yeah, look, usually the things that I look for when it comes to quick sort versus selection sort, the main one has always been the size of the data set. So yeah, I don't know. I think I'm just going to go with selection sort, to be honest with you. I'm not really too sure, but I'm just going to say a selection sort would be most appropriate, and I'm basing that off purely the processing power due to limited, I'll say battery life and processing power. Maybe not battery life, just processing power. To run more sophisticated quicksort. So I'm going with selection sort because the limited power means that it could not do quicksort as well, which is the more resource heavy one, I guess. All right, software development company wants to test the usability of an application it's developing in order to connect senior citizens with local council services. State the purpose of usability testing and explain how it's different from functional testing. I'll say functional testing attempts to identify errors through the programmer's I guess imitating user data, and I'll say that usability testing gets the software into the hands of a potential user. Oh yeah, your potential user. This often leads to new issues being identified. Because it's sort of like the developer tests it as best they can, but they're a bit blind. They have their blinkers on in effect, essentially, because it's like they know how everything works. So they know that you click on the pencil button to make a new record or something, but a user may not know that instantly. So that's why that's good. To save money, the company is considering conducting usability testing using its own employees. Why is this not a good idea? The employees may not be the targeted demographic so not the targeted demographic. In this case, it's somebody who's a bit older. Sorry, my phone's going off. Targeted demographic, in this case, senior citizens, which means they are unlikely to encounter the same errors. To encounter the same errors that users will. Yeah. All right. Landing page of the application will have the following menu: recreation, health, support, community, senior services, connect with your local services. Suggest one method that could be used to gather qualitative data and one that could be used to gather quantitative data when conducting usability testing on this landing page. I'm assuming this is just looking for interviews, observations, etc. So I'm going to do for observations, for qualitative, observe a user testing functionality and record findings. And quantitative, survey user satisfaction using a numerical scale, something like that. That's what I'd be going for. All right, we're up to the case study. So I'm just going to flick over to the case study. I'm not sure if I should get it up. I don't know, I was going to get it up on my computer to then try and make it easier for me, but yeah, that's fine. All right, section C. Let's get this going. So I got to read. Hopefully that's all of it. I don't want to read any more than that. Okay. There's a fair bit going on here. I'll just read through it to you. A small sports medicine company delivers performance and sports psychology services. Might highlight things that I think are important. Sports medicine company wants to implement a web solution that will enable better access to services for clients and improves communication with its clients. So better access to services and improved communication. Sports medicine company clients include both people who play sport for fun, competitions, and athletes. Okay. Timothy is the owner of the sports medicine company. He wants a new web solution to enable his clients too. So that's all important. I'm just going to highlight that. So manage their stored medical and personal details, manage their bookings, participate in video conferences. He employed Melissa and her software dev company to create a web solution. Melissa's software development company specializes in secure web solutions. I'm not sure if that'll be important or not, but I'll highlight it anyway. A number of project decisions have been made by Melissa's company and Timothy's company. The web solution will be developed and comprised of three components: a secure data-driven website, SQL server, and a video conferencing app. The website will enable Timothy's sports medicine company to securely log in with a username and password. This website will be implemented. I'll highlight username and password because it's just single factor. Website will be implemented using responsive UI, and all of its clients will be stored in an SQL server. It will hold personal and private data, including this. Video conferencing function will be provided in an external conferencing system company. Okay, so that doesn't seem to be as important. So this is the architecture diagram over here of how it's all going to work. So we've got a client, the psychiatrist, the company, and the external video app. Melissa's company has allocated 3 teams to work on it. 1 team will be on the website, 1 will do the SQL, and 1 will be video conferencing. To coordinate the teams and manage it, she put together a project list table. This contains all the task relationships, other tasks assigned, And there's the project task table there. Cool. All right, so that's all that. A bit full on. Oh, getting a bit sick of reading, to be honest with you. Okay, question 1. After developing the project task table on page 3, Melissa decided to use a waterfall. He justified the decision to use this development model. Well, yeah, okay. All right, waterfall model. I would say that, so how many marks is worth? This is worth 3 marks. I'm expecting they want sort of 3 key justifications. So Melissa has chosen this model due to its rigid structure, only allowing progress once the previous are completed. This allows her to get a better understanding of requirements before the design stage. It's probably 1. So you can sort of go through the analysis in a bit more detail. I'll say this also allows her to manage multiple teams more easily due to the rigid structure. Ooh. She also does not need to be as highly skilled / adaptive as a programmer using Agile would need to be. Would need to be. I'll probably leave it there. I want to put in nobody uses Spiral. That's what I've done. Let's move to this side. Oh, handsaw. Jeez. Okay. All right. So we got a Gantt chart filling the missing information, shapes, and dependencies using page 3 of the insert. Love that. So we've got to figure out how long it'll take to complete the design. Design completed 0. Okay. So I'm assuming that's a milestone then. That seems to be 1 bit. Test web solution. Takes 5. I'm assuming this is 5 weeks. Dependency is task 10. Is this in weeks or is this in days? Start date. This is in weeks. This is in days. Oh, that's annoying. It'll take 1 week. So they've separated their weeks into 5-day intervals. And I know that because the first task takes 5 duration, which is unspecified, which is a week. And then here it's listed as 1 week. So rather than 5 weeks is what I thought it was, it's actually 1 week. And the dependency was task 10. So from here, where are we up to? Start on the 19th, which is what, like here somewhere? And I like having to draw over this line. It's probably a bit too big as well. That's why it's a good idea to have whiteout. Into there. And I'm assuming that 11 is a dependency for something as well. For 12. Let's put that in there. Install new web solution and hand over to the client. 14. That's a week. Start is the 3rd of the 5th. So it's like here. Maybe a bit further over. Something like that. Something like that. And we can always come out and connect up to there. Cool. I think that's the 3 things that they wanted. Hopefully I got that right. All right. The team working on the SQL database has reviewed their Gantt chart and they're concerned about having only 1 week to do task 8. The team worries the project will fall behind. Determine whether or not they should be concerned about falling behind. So the SQL database. Team working reviewed, concerned about having 1 week to complete task 8. Okay. Well, seemingly 9 is dependent on this task as well, which means there's a little bit of float time there. So it can take a little longer than required, but it is also attached to here, which is attached to here. Yeah, so there's a little bit of float time there. I'm not too sure exactly how long, but it seems like if that starts on the 8th of the 3rd and it takes 5 days, or it takes a week, that goes to the 15th of the 3rd. So they have an extra week. I'll say the team could delay up to 1 additional week. So week before delaying the whole project. Evaluate the critical path to this project, giving your answer in weeks. All right, lucky me. So that's critical. So that's 1. This would be critical. So it's 2, 3. So I might just go through and highlight the critical ones. So 1, 2, 3. These all run at the same time. So this one's the critical one. Down to here, to here, to here, to here, to there. Meaning that is 1, 3, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 weeks. So these ones aren't included, by the way, because they can be delayed without causing any major concerns. Did I say up to a week for that one? Oh, for task 8, I said up to a week. Yeah, cool. Yeah, easy. Yeah. All right, moving on. Melissa advised Timothy that the development of the website will begin with the development of the SQL database. Also told him the integration of the video conferencing app and the web solution will occur after the completion date. Identify 2 elements within the scope of the project for Melissa's development company. 2 items within scope. So scope is things that are achievable, I guess. I'll have and test a fully functioning site. Say app, and to implement SQL database. I'm terrible at scope, so I'm hoping that that's fine. Identify 1 item as outside the scope for Melissa's development company. Develop video conferencing app, because that's not her company that does that. All right, Melissa drew partial use case diagram showing the functionality for the users. So the client should be able to log in with their username and password, manage their appointments, create, cancel, check, etc. And that includes logging in, and it may include these ones. So these are extends, because you don't have to create or cancel an appointment every time you log in. Create an appointment. Okay, I'll come back to that one. I'm not too sure yet. A payment feature comes up during login if a payment is needed. Okay, so that's another extends. The clerk can just pay the account. They can complete an appointment. They can also check an appointment. I think that it all just extends, because includes points off. And the video conferencing company, yeah, I think they're all extends. That's weird. Don't like that. Anyway, all right, they've created a mock-up for the input screen. Wonderful. Cool. For each of the following validation techniques, explain with examples how the control could be used to minimize data entry errors. Ensure that only validated data is required. Okay. Existence check can be used to ensure data has actually been entered. So that, for example, the Medicare card field is not blank. Cool. Range check can be used to ensure that data entered lies within a reasonable range. Reasonable range. I forgot how to spell range. For example, Vic postcodes lying. How do you spell lying? Lying within the range 3,000 to 3,999. Type checking. Ensuring entered data is of the correct data type. For example, for checking no, let's not do that. So phone number can be a string, radio button, string, date, time. I'll say checking that because I don't think you can check to make sure that there's no numbers. I'll say that Medicare contains numbers only. Anyway, that last one I might lose a mark on just because technically Medicare is probably going to be collected as a string, but we'll see. All right, working on the SQL database below, the algorithm reads a list of appointment IDs from a file, checks if an appointment can be made. Each appointment data item has an ID that identifies that the ID has an integer which is created by joining the year, month, day, hour, and minute of each appointment. An appointment for 9:30 on the 5th of November 2021 would be 2021 11:05 09:30. Each appointment has a fixed duration of 30 minutes. Fill in the missing lines of pseudocode so the algorithm correctly determines if a new appointment has been made. Okay, so we read all the appointment IDs into an array. Appointment exists false. High appointment means current. And low appointment is 0. Okay. Current appointment IDs, dot length and low. Okay. Is this to like search for them or something? All right. So it's checking to see if an appointment can be made by searching for that appointment, and if it exists, then we say no, it can't be done. All right. Easy. Oh, this is actually a what would you call it? Like a binary search is what it is, basically. Okay. So the mid appointment means round down of high appointment, low appointment divided by 2. I'd say if mid appointment is so remember these are numbers, so we're going to say less than what's the new appointment ID called? New appointment ID. So if it's less than the new appointment ID, that means that I should have done that the other way around, would have made more sense, but that's all right. So if the middle appointment is lower than the new appointment, that means that we then have to check we then have to find a new midpoint. Yeah, okay, so then we find a new mid is assigned to round down, and it'll be high apt plus mid apt divided by 2. Oh, I made a mistake there as well. Let me send a bracket. Okay, so we make a new midpoint if it's less. We'll say else if new. I'll try and be consistent. Mid apt is greater than new apt. Then the mid apt becomes round down, and we have low apt plus mid apt divided by 2. I think, is that right? Oh, it's just this becomes the new low, not the new mid, I think. Yeah, this becomes the new, far out. It becomes the new, wait, does it do that? Or is it just supposed to be that mid apt becomes the new low? I think I stuffed that up. Oh my days. This is why it's good to write in pencil. All right, well, I'm just going to write these lines over here then. I would have, so if the new appointment is greater than the mid, then low apt becomes the new mid. Yeah. So I'll come back and explain it at the end. Sorry. Yeah, and I'll have here, if it's less than, then high apt becomes mid apt. Okay. So this is saying that if the new appointment is greater than the midpoint that they've found, right, then what we're doing is we actually make the low part of the search equal to the midpoint. So when it comes through again, it does this line here, it'll then find the middle of the top half. Similarly here, we've made the high equal to the mid if it's less than that, and that's purely because then we find the lower half using that. I know that's probably a bit confusing. And then I'm going to say else, else I say, so if the midpoint if else apt exists becomes true, and if something like that. Yeah, sorry if I haven't explained that well. So the whole idea of a binary search is, remember, it's going to look like, let's say these are my string of appointments here. It's going to find the midpoint and then be like, hey, is this your appointment? And if it is, then sorry, it's taken. But if not, they'll go, okay, if your new appointment is less than this, right? So let's say new appointment's a lower value than our midpoint, then this becomes our new high. This stays as our low. and then we find a midpoint here, and we keep going until we find the new. Similarly, if the new's over here, then this becomes the low, and the high stays put. And we find a new mid in here, and we keep going until we find it there. So that's what that's doing. If I didn't explain that well, I apologize. Whoa, right, more coding. This is a very good one for coding. Okay. So they've also created a pseudocode booking system. Get date, get time. Booking available is false. Current date is less than appointment time. Then booking available becomes appointment available appointment. So it stores the, okay. Else if the current date is equal to appointment dot date, then if the current time is greater than the appointment time, then booking available because, okay. Else return invalid appointment or invalid appointment. If booking available, then create a new XML file and return application appointment created. All right, well, let's, does it tell me what date this is? It tells me here, okay. So complete the test table below, given the current date and current time are initialized as 20th of the 1st, 2022 and 1:30 respectively. All right, so the appointment date test that they're doing is using the 22nd of the 1st. So get date, and the current date is the 20th. Get time. They haven't listed a current time. Let's just pretend it's midnight for now. Booking available is false. If the current date is less than the appointment date, which it is, then booking available, appointment available, appointment. So if the current date is less than the appointment date, which it is, good. So the actual result there is appointment created. Created. Because it doesn't run this or that. And then if booking available, which in this case it is, if booking available, then create appointment, return. Yeah, okay. Okay, so let's try, so we got one after the date. Let's try one before the date. So let's try the 19th of the 1st, 22. We'll try a day of, and we'll try at 12 o'clock. We'll try the day of, and we'll try it at 1:30. And we'll try it the day of at, say, 5:30. All right. Yeah, let's just give that a go. Because then I test the date before, the date of, and then I'll test, yeah, that should work, I would think. So the day before, we would say appointment, I would say invalid. The day of, it should say invalid as well. The exact time of, I'm not sure. I think that would be, I guess that's valid. I'll have to see that one. Okay. Let's go through and check our actual results now. So if the date is prior, like if I'm booking it on the 20th and I'm trying to book the date prior, so if current date is less than appointment date, which it's not, then if current date is equal to appointment date, which it's not, so that'll return invalid appointment. So that's good. So that checks out. Yeah, so it doesn't make an appointment. Good. 12 o'clock on the day of. So if the current date is less than the appointment date, which in this time it's going to be the same date, so that's not true. If current date is equal to appointment date, then if current time is greater than the appointment time, then booking available So that's, I think this is the error here, because you want the current time to be less than the appointment time, right? So this is going to all be reversed. So this is going to be appointment created. This one will be invalid. And this one will be this one will also be invalid. I'm not sure if I had to do that 130 test or not. That was just an idea. I'm just checking to make sure that I don't need to test anything else. So for the current date, I've got in the past, the current day of, in the future, because it's in the future, in the past, and these are all current days. So that's fine. Then I got to test the time by having before, on, and after. Yeah, that's it. Okay. But I'm not sure whether that's supposed to be valid or not. I suppose not, right? You probably can't book it for like right now. So we'll see. Anyway. So yeah, anyway, that's the error. So they all reverse around. You can see for 5:30 is not before, so it returns invalid appointment. Yeah. Okay. So identify a line of pseudocode on page 22 that produces the error. So it's if current time greater than appointment time. Appointment time then. Rewrite this line of code. If current time is less than appointment dot time. Usability testing on the web solution. Sports psychiatrist reported that the web solution sometimes created new appointments within an hour of an existing appointment. So this is what I was looking at. But this did not provide them with enough time to prepare. Identify a modification to the pseudocode that would ensure. So you would just have to add time on here. So it would be if current time within 1 hour of an existing appointment. Oh, yeah, no, would I do that? I suppose I could just add on. Just creating a booking for an appointment. I'm just having a bit of trouble understanding what they mean here. So they reported that sometimes they created appointments within an hour of an existing appointment. But this isn't looking for existing appointments, so I'm a bit confused here. I'm assuming that they mean like, no, that wouldn't work, would it? Right, okay, I get you. So booking available gets assigned to appointment available. So they check, okay, I'm with you. So this line here, this booking available becomes appointment available appointment. That checks an array to see the appointments and whether or not they're available. So I'd have to do if booking if they're in 1 hour blocks, if appointment if appointment available, appointment -1 and appointment let's go available. I'm assuming they're in 1 hour blocks, but appointment +1, then booking available. I'm not sure if they wanted me to rewrite that code or just tell them, but booking available. Appointment yeah, I'm not sure if that's actually asking me to rewrite it or just to say it says identify. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, that's what I would do. So I'd check with the appointments, they're in a weird values, aren't they? They're in like, so maybe it's 100, not 1, minus 100 and plus 100, because they're in like 100 hours. Yeah. Anyway, I might have got that wrong. Who knows? It's only worth 1 mark. It's not worth marking around. Cream worked on the user login module. The code's been tested, ready to add the rest of the program. It says the module needs to be audited before it can be added. When the testing is completed, Kareem doesn't think the audit is needed. Explain why software auditing should be performed on a module that Kareem developed. I think it allows a different person to evaluate if the module meets requirements before progressing. It's a bit of a vague answer, but it's a bit of a vague question, so hopefully they're okay with that. Oh, I was like, we got more pseudocode, but it's not. It's XML. For each of the following XML items listed, identify the element type. ID equals 7575. Okay. Video conferencing appointments. So the video conferencing appointments is like the what would you call them? It's like the parent. They've got another name though. It's not element. It's I'm going to draw a blank on this one, I think. ID, that's an attribute. These are elements. I don't think it's like a tree or a I'm just going to write parent. I know that's wrong, but I'll if I have time, I'll come back and maybe have a chance to think about it. All right. Justify the use of XML over CSV when transferring data between the video conferencing system. platforms company to the sport medicine company. Okay. Well, I would say it allows attributes to be assigned where CSV does not. It is highly structured due to its hierarchical style, with added flexibility to add / remove elements where CSV is not. It also allows a wider range of symbols to be used, such as comma, which would diminish integrity in CSV data. So I'm assuming that they want 3 reasons there because it's 3 marks. As long as you compare it back, it should be fine. So I've actually given 4 reasons there, really, but you know. So you can assign attributes, which you can see there. You can. It's highly structured because it's hierarchical, whereas CSV is sort of a bit harder to read. You can add or remove elements easily where you can't in CSV. You can also use a wide range of symbols such as commas, which would stuff up CSV. So that's why that's good. How are we going for, how much more do I have left? Oh, good, we're almost done. I'm a bit over it. All right, I should have done this in 2 parts. All right, during development, the team worked on the SQL database and the file structure several times. This caused the team working on the website to experience delays. They had to troubleshoot problems caused by accessing out-of-date database files. Recommend an appropriate strategy the Melissa software company could use to protect the entire development process from this issue. Explain how the security control could assist the team working on the website. Okay. Okay, I'm not too sure exactly what they're going for here. I'm going to say that the team should implement an archiving process to remove old file structures from the active system to be stored in case of damage or corruption. Which would also help the website team using only one active database. Not sure if that's what they were going for with that. That's my solution. I'm thinking if they're having problems because there's a whole bunch of different databases set up differently and they're out of date, just archive the old ones, get them off the system, and then the web team can do what they do. And you keep them as well just in case there's any issues. The code that accesses the SQL database reads directly from input text boxes on the web page with no validation. Identify a type of web solution that exists because of this code. It's an SQL injection. Which is where a person types SQL code into a text box, causing damage or exposing secure SQL or secure data from the database. How could data validation help minimize part A? This could limit the accepted characters through type checking, which will prevent SQL code from being entered. Something like that. All right. Usability test revealed the client's records data structure developed by the development company does not allow for easy retrieval of the client's use of services provided Timothy Sports Medicine Company. It provides a field that indicates the date of the client's last section. Identify and explain how the client records data structure might be modified to allow Timothy Sports Medicine Company to give discounts to the 5 most frequent users of its services each month. Okay. Data structure on a client's use. And it provides a field that indicates the date of the client's last session. Okay, so it's saying they want to give like a discount for people that use it a lot. So I guess I would add a field which tracks number of uses per month. This could then be easily searched to provide discounts. All right, is this the last one? Yeah, thank goodness for that. All right. Timothy provided Melissa's software development company with access to his company's existing database of clients' medical and personal data, which will be imported into the newly developed database. Timothy asked Melissa to decommission his sports medicine company's existing database as part of this process. Describe 2 actions that Melissa's software development company should take when decommissioning the sports medicine company's existing database. Okay. So this is talking about like correct file disposal. So I would say that the 2 actions would be to delete the existing database from the system. But also, just because something's deleted, it could still be recovered as well. I'd say remove any backups / archives on the old system. I won't get rid of archives, maybe just backups. Timothy asked Melissa to document the database backup scheme for ongoing management. Outline 3 considerations have been taken into account when designing a backup scheme. Okay, 3 things taken into account. I'd say a full backup should be done somewhat regularly. An incremental backup can also be done daily. What's the other one called? Incremental, full, and I can't remember the other type. I can't remember the other one. I'll probably stuff that up. All right, outline 2 benefits of storing archive data on a system separate to the main database. So, okay, so yeah, we're talking about archiving. So the 2 benefits are that the data is stored safely in case of it being needed to be retrieved or accessed, and it also frees up the current system's memory or something like that. Something along those lines. It's really annoying me, I can't remember the other backup type. But anyway, I'm sure I'll think of it later. So that's last year's exam. So that was 27 pages and 1 hour and 48 minutes long. And I'm sick of talking right now, so I'm going to stop. Bye.